Thanks for downloading a 3CR podcast. 3CR is an independent community radio station based in Melbourne, Australia. We need your financial support to keep going. Go to www.3cr.org.au for more information and to donate online. Now stay tuned for your 3CR podcast.
We're putting up new buildings, we're knocking down the old. We're working in the summer heat and in the winter cold. And the labour power we sell, me boys, for a hard-earned weekly pay produces mighty profits for the greedy MBA. And whether we were born here or born in Italy, in Greece, in Spain or Ireland, in England or Fiji, we all of us are workers, united we must stand, until the wealthy bludgers have been driven from our land. We faced deregistration, it backfired in the face. We're not fooled by arbitration, we won't stay in our place. We hit the bosses hard and fast to win and keep our gains, and break a couple of concrete pours to back our log of claims. So keep your powder dry and hold your head up high. It's class to class and face to face, our limit is the sky. We've got a fighting history and we never will be cowed. Our builders' labour is a name to make a man feel proud.
And it's good morning from the Concrete Gang. Bright-eyed, bushy-tailed with a full gang in this morning. Good morning, Gorilla.
Good morning, Warren and listeners.
Good morning, Colin.
Good morning.
And good morning, Buzza.
Good morning, everybody out
That's
there.
the quietest you're ever going to hear him. And String Bean and Annie are with us as well, and we have got a lot of material to get through.
Wasn't that a bigger studio?
Either that or we shut up a bit more, but never mind. What we're going to talk about is some information that everyone needs to know, but also we need to talk about a very bad week in the construction industry and in the workplace generally. There have been 3 fatalities this week. Yes, one was a maintenance sparky who unfortunately was electrocuted. Electrocuted actually means that you die as a consequence of the electric shock. And he was doing maintenance on an air conditioning system, and he's no longer with us. A powder monkey working in housing, in subdivisional work.
Drainage contractor.
Yep, drainage contractor. And he made a mistake, probably done it for 30 years, and he only made one mistake, and that was this week. But third, and very pertinent to the CFMEU, was the fatality of one of our members out in the yard for specialised concrete pumping. Carlos Ahoya, I think it is. I'm not particularly good on Spanish pronunciation, but Carlos was 29 years old, single, working for specialised concrete pumping, and he has passed away as a consequence of a crushing incident. He was momentarily trapped between a wall and a piece of equipment. They got the equipment off and he collapsed soon afterwards, and an hour later, after the ambulance had got there, he passed away. It's a reminder to everybody. This, in every aspect of the industry, is a dangerous industry, and everybody needs to be high alert as we come into Christmas. It might be early in November, but the push is on. Things have to get done. There's a lot of overtime being worked. There's a lot of people being pushed to the limit because there's always these dates all around Christmas where the bosses want certain schedules achieved, certain results, and then the pressure comes on. And when the pressure comes on, let's be honest, health and safety isn't always number one priority. So folks, make sure in the next few weeks in the lead up to Christmas that you are very conscious of health and safety.
I was a powder monkey, Warren.
You blew up half of Frankston, as I remember it, but we
That's
won't
right.
go into that.
I got on the front page of Frankston Post. I rained rocks down on Frankston, mate. I just made a little bit of a mistake, but anyway.
There would be some people who would say that was only justice, but never mind. For Frankston rather than you. But never mind. We do need to just continually remind people that there is a problem in our industry always with dangerous work, but we also have a fatality policy, and that was put into place last Friday. 1, there's a report given on site. 2, there's a minute's silence to show respect for the person who has passed away. 3, we do an audit of the site, making sure that anything we might have missed is up to scratch. And there will be, obviously, further developments as the investigation takes place. Our good friends from WorkSafe have got a few issues in front of them with this particular matter, and there's also some other matters we'll talk about later. But there is a fatality policy in the industry. It means that people concentrate their minds on just what's happening in the industry in terms of health and safety when there is a fatality. Sure, it's a bit late. We should be concentrating at all times, but folks, you need to keep it foremost. And when there is a fatality, it's a great time for us to remind you, keep it front of your mind.
That's right, Warren, and I think we spoke about this a couple of weeks ago, but you got to remember these builders get these projects. It always comes down to money, who gets a job, but excuse me, it also comes down to the program. And what they do is they give away, they say, well, you're the same price as such and such a builder, so they said, we'll deliver it a month earlier. No one talks to the workers or the union, and they cut these programs down, they cut them down, and what happens, in the end, shopping centres and all those types of jobs, they want the blokes working 24/7, working 100 miles an hour, and as Warren said, this is when we have accidents. Now, these 3 accidents we spoke about weren't actually in the sort of main part of the construction industry, but this is the time of year when accidents happen, and it's push, and maybe the boys are all sort of thinking towards their Christmas holidays, and we do have a lot of accidents this time of year. So, as Warren said, keep your eye on the ball, and you don't have to work overtime. You can work 8 hours and go home and freshen up, and don't forget, when they're working 10 hours a day or 12 hours a day, you still got to drive home and drive to work. It's just a lot of time out of your life, So everyone, all the listeners, just keep your eye on the ball. We don't want any more accidents before Christmas. We want you to enjoy Christmas. What do you think, Buzza?
Just one other quick thing I want to highlight too is the demolition industry out there at the moment for safety, because they're taking over the duty of care on a lot of these sites with no builders on them, and we're finding more and more that we're going to try and get reps on there. They don't have the duty of care of control of a builder on site, and there's all sorts of shit going on. So it's another area to keep honing in on before Christmas. Blokes are on those jobs. If things aren't right, make sure you give us a phone call. I went to a job the other day. I handed out 20 cards. There were some problems on the job. I put a list out to be fixed. I gave everyone a card. The next day, I said, ring me if certain things weren't fixed, not one phone call. I think we need a few more participation from the members out there in giving phone calls back to the officials and health and safety units so we can go out there and help.
Indeed. And I would also now raise another issue with our good friends at WorkSafe.
Oh.
Well, apparently you can plead guilty to a matter, for example, the collapse of a wall that killed 3 innocent people, and you get fined 280,000 or 80,000, something like that. But can't get it to court, can't get a serious prosecution, can't deal with anything like that. But WorkSafe can spend a whole heap of time, a whole lot of money on the Essendon Football Club and whether they have breached their duty of care. Well, I would have thought...
What an easy target.
...that GrowCon would have breached their duty of care 10 times over compared to the Essendon Football Club matter. I'm not saying it's not an important matter, but it doesn't compare to 3 innocent people being killed just walking down a street.
How would the parents of those kids that got killed feel after that? After Essendon being fined $300,000 for so-called unsafe workplace or something, and that, it wasn't Grocon that got fined in the end, was it? It was a sign writer.
No, Grocon did
they?
plead guilty to an offence, but it was the sign writer.
Cop the brunt.
The subcontract of the sign writer actually got prosecuted for breach of the permit. But it's just beggars description to say that they are a work-safe authority. It just seems to me that we, unfortunately, are going to head back to a point in time where people might remember if there was a fatality in the industry, the whole industry stopped. Not a threat, just a simple case of necessity if WorkSafe aren't going to do the business.
Well, we better cut the track and lighten the show up a bit, Warren.
Well, I was just going to do, before we do that, just remind people the picnic tickets are out. The picnic's on the first Monday in December. As usual, the ticket is going to be $40, and basically it promises to be bigger and better than ever, not only in Melbourne, but all the regional picnics as well.
It's been billed as the greatest picnic on earth, so that sounds really good.
Yeah, well, we talked about that earlier, weren't we? We've had a snake handler get bitten. We've had a snake handler get bitten. We've had a
Bolton horses.
We've had a few little hiccups.
Broken legs in the tug of wars.
Broken legs and punch up in a tug of war, but we've smartened it up a bit, haven't we, since then, Warren? We've got it all under control now. Oh, hang on.
That's a pregnant pause.
That is indeed a pregnant pause, because we all hope. Because
I just want to let the listeners know, though, but when the snake handler got bitten, I was trying to get the money we paid him out of his pocket when they were carting him off, because I reckon he didn't put on a good enough show. So I just want to make sure that.
What would you bring a venomous snake to a kid's show? Honestly.
Well, we've got to handle those rats all the time, you know, venomous snakes, don't we? You know. But anyway, it's part of it. But we better cut to the track, mate. No?
We're going to cut to a track.
Oh, okay.
Indeed we are. And don't forget, get your picnic tickets. Get them now. Get it all organised on your job. Make sure your steward's in the office and got the posters and has got the tickets.
You don't fight, you lose. Huckleberry Gang, here to stay. You don't fight, you lose. Dare to struggle, dare to win.
We'll fight for our rights, that's what we do.
Next little matter to remind everyone about is the 2016 RDO calendar is out and about.
Fantastic.
And
is it official?
it is 100% official.
Are you sure?
Lock it
We
in,
are
Eddie.
sure. We are sure. It is official. It is being distributed now. It's on the website. Download it. In the magazine coming out very soon will be the usual fridge magnet and pocket size calendars. It's a calendar for next year, and get onto it quick. Now, just want to mention one matter that did come out of the delegates meeting this week, and that is the perennial problem of people only wanting to have one break.
Yes.
And the delegates unanimously have decided to enforce the 2 breaks across the industry. And so, boys, that you were there on Thursday, make sure that you actually carry out the decision you unanimously voted for. Under the award, under the EBA, 2 breaks. And a lot of bosses think they can do a deal. But what happens is, down the track, somewhere, someone says, I never had a break on that day. I was on double time till I knocked off.
Yeah.
And then there's a whole lot, and the union will pursue the claim. The union will pursue the claim. So, folks, if you're working for a boss who's putting it on you to have one break and you think you're getting a good deal out of it, think again, because he's just trying to save money, and you are in a situation where you're denying yourself some money.
And we don't want to start breaking our own conditions, do we, Warren?
Well,
With an EBA camp on just about.
It ain't up to an individual, even a small group of people, doing something for themselves to break down the conditions that other people have fought for and won decades ago.
It was a unanimous decision, and there was no speakers against it.
That's
so,
right.
you know,
As there shouldn't be, because it is an award condition, Rabbit, isn't it?
correct.
Well,
As was said.
Can I make one statement on that?
Can we
It's
stop
all
you?
right. It's all right making that decision. Now it's got to happen.
That's right.
Right?
So be enforced.
There's two parts to that proposal, and let's just see if everyone follows through on what they said they were.
Righto. Now, I just want to mention another little matter which seems to rear its ugly head on a regular basis, ABNing. And this week, we can report that the ATO, who have been subject to a considerable amount of criticism before not enforcing the actual law about ABNs, have decided to pursue a company from Geelong, Walker's Plastering, to pursue them for ABNs. And that, unfortunately, for the blokes working for Walker's, have also been subject to investigation, because now the ATO is seeking back taxes. Because what they're saying to people is, you are not truly an ABNer, and you have been part of a rort and not paid your tax. And of course, a lot of blokes are saying, well, we didn't get much choice in this. So there's an issue of someone's going to be paying a lot of bloody money. So when you think, oh yeah, ABN, or yeah, the boss, oh, well, I'll just put up with it for a while, you're putting yourself under the hammer. Because let's be honest, our good friend, Mr. Turnbull, wants to spend some money to make himself look good before the election at the end of next year, and therefore he needs taxes. And he's going to go out, whether he tries to get an increase in the GST or he just chases up all the money that the ABNers owe, and the companies that employ them equally might owe, then there's going to be a lot of grief around. And the ATO are quoted as saying this is much worse. So one of the members who faced the interrogation, this is much worse than what we thought. So guess what? They might have worked out there's a quid out there and they're going to start chasing it.
I think they need to do a few more than two, but what discouraged this thing a little bit was in the last budget they offered a free-for-all extra bonus for ABN users out there, or sole traders, whatever you want to call them, and that gave people more of an incentive to do it. But let me tell you, if they were that smart, they could work out how much money they were losing in tax out there, and they could clamp down on quite a few. And I'd hate to say the building industry is the biggest water of it out there. So let's see if we can have a full effort from the government if they want to get some of this money back.
Can I get on a good story?
Yep.
I was in the Rubbley last night. Funny enough, you know, I don't go to Rubbleys too often, but I just thought I'd have a kitchen sink last night. And there was a couple in there, and they said that they were in the Elstonwick Hotel on the 11th Remembrance Day, and they were looking out the window, and they said right on the 11 o'clock, the crane slewed around, faced the right way, the siren went, and all the boys stood to for a minute. And they said that was something worth seeing. They said that it really touched them. You know, they thought it was a great thing to do, and all their construction sites did that. So it's a great thing that the boys always remember and show a bit of respect for our fallen comrades. And I want a special mention to Johnny Manus out at Pro Build out at Caulfield Racetrack. Johnny took the great, what I think we should all do. Excuse me. He rang up the local RSL, the Caulfield RSL, got an old digger to come out and bought his box of poppies out, and all the boys bought poppies, and he ran out of poppies, and they kept throwing money at him and putting in his tray. He was overwhelmed with the
good idea.
With all the respect the boys showed him, and so Johnny Mattis and the boys out at Caulfield, fantastic effort, and all the construction sites. We shouldn't forget our fallen comrades, and it was great to see all the jobs stopping for a minute's silence.
Yeah, and I heard a very good report on the tennis centre too.
The tennis centre was absolutely brilliant. The delegate down there done a top job, because not only did he have the siren go and everyone stop, but then the whole tennis centre had the last post, played two of them over the PA. And that was at the same time as the last post was being played at the Shrine. And as a consequence, it was like in stereo. It was apparently a very moving experience for everybody.
And I don't want to put a damper on, but there's always a few don't buy a poppy, and there's always a few miserable rats. But they had to walk the floors the rest of the day on that job. No poppy, no lift in the Alley-Mac.
Oh, fantastic.
That's a good one too. I like that.
That's a good one.
No, you can't beat that, can you?
No.
Yeah. Righto, now, we've got a little issue, and that's scallywags.
I've got a quick mention. Can I mention BHP just quickly?
Very quickly.
Very
come
quickly.
on.
They're taking on the MUA over in West Australia on the ports in Port Hedland because they own the access to the port up there. And not only that, this article, there's a story here, a two-page article, also about what what they did over in Brazil, where they caused massive landslide over there, the dam wall. There's an article here and it goes into a lot of detail, how much money it's costing the shareholders, cash flow problems for the company. It's going to cost them $1 billion. Well, what about the poor people in that little village in Brazil that have gone missing? At the very end of the article, it mentions that there were so many people dead. I think there's 3 to 6 people. There's 6 people dead and 28 missing. And that I've got a little mention right at the end of the paragraph. We're more worried about the shares and the dividend. Well, let's stop worrying about the shares and the dividend of BHP and let's show some corporate responsibility.
Well said, Buzzer.
Righto, now we're going to do our scallywags for this week. It has been a bit of contribution from the rank and file, but we need to add to the list. And
I've got one that's not on the list too, Warren.
Well,
throw it in, late one.
Late one.
APM.
Broad
APM.
Yep.
Excuse me. Broad APM, yes, out at Mulgrave. Buzz's job, they decide the line markers that line the concrete for the car parking decided to come in on the RDO. Even Broad APM said they didn't know they were coming in. But we begged the divers.
Someone opened the gate.
Yeah, there's a few issues there out of Broad APM. They should stick to building sheds, I think.
The nominations I've got, obviously, Walker Plaster in Geelong. All the ABN shit that's gone on. MCG Cranes.
Becoming a bit of a perennial this week in Brunswick. They've got a tower crane that when it slews, you can hear the screeching from well over a kilometre away. Apparently, our good friend Lindsay Watson has said there's too much grease in the slew ring and it'll settle down in a few weeks' time. Yeah, even the independent engineer said, give us a break, Lindsay.
It'll settle down when the crane falls off its perch,
yeah,
mate.
when the slew ring snaps off, exactly.
Righto, we've got Neo Constructions and Simcat.
Yeah, Neo Constructions out at Monash University use this mob called Simcat. Greatest low-life mob of all time. So all they have is visa people working for them. I mean, you can't... What's the visa... You're supposed to only use visa if you can't get workers. I mean, demolition? You can't get people out of work knocking down block walls or tearing down plaster. All he uses is visa people, mate. So, Simcat. Bunch of rats.
The P&S Signs.
Buzzer, that's you.
On the P&S Signs, yes. Right. He's out there doing the signage on the jump forms, and he, at the moment, has a non-union agreement, and he's very un-Christian to deal with, right?
Righto. Now... Broad APM and WorkSafe.
Ooh.
Righto.
I reckon WorkSafe. No.
Well, who are we going for, boys?
I like Walkers. That sends a really strong message out to the industry. Oh, come on, the plastering. That's a strong message. You're on ABN. You're going to get done.
We better hurry up because we've got a segue to play, haven't we?
Righto. Now, I'm a bit in favour of Walker too because when these blokes were being investigated by the ATO, one of the questions they asked them is, where's the copies of your invoices? And the bloke said, what invoices?
All right.
Thank you.
They've got it. All right.
Righto. Walkers have won it.
Now we're going to cut to a segue, Warren.
Yes, we've got some rank and file nominations for Scallywag of the Year. From the delegates meeting on Thursday. So we'll go out in the same old way. Dare to struggle.
Dare to win.
If you don't fight,
you lose.
Good morning from the Concrete Gang. And we're going to go out.
So the main thing is we're coming towards the end of the year, looking for nominations for Scallywag of the Year.
Yeah. We were just talking about it, weren't we?
Yeah. Who would you put up?
Element 5 and Veolia.
Yep, and why?
Because they haven't got an agreement with the union, mate, and their scabs.
They're undercutting some of the good blokes out there, putting a bit of work that maybe they shouldn't be because they're not paying.
I don't know, I suppose the ABCC would have to be the one that really sort of takes the cake as far as that's concerned, isn't it? Yep, they're the ones that are really after us. And close second would have to be the Sun because, they love us too.
At a Herald's Con, they'd be up there for sure.
Yeah. So they'd be my 2 nominations.
Go Element 5.
Why is that?
They're scrubs, mate. Simple as that, mate. You know, destroying the industry, but no good.
Element 5.
Element 5, yeah, they've had a few.
Yes, Element 5.
Why is that?
That'll do. They're not playing by the rules.
Good builders, that's it. Yeah. Good. Yeah.
Undermining our conditions.
Yeah, I reckon you should put down decker tiling. They had a bloke that was nearly killed at work 3 weeks ago, and he's still waiting for a payout of his wages through where the boss is paying it or work cover are paying it.
For the Concrete Gang, we need Scallywag of the Year nominations. Who's your Scallywag of the Year?
Scallywag of the Year. Element 5, mate. Gotta be. Hey?
What's that, mate?
Scallywag of the Year.
Element 5.
Yeah,
same reason, guaranteed. Yep, top of the prize.
Excellent. How about you, mate?
Not sure about the year, but the week has got to go new tech tiling.
Yeah. Tell us the story.
Having a lot to do with them, but everyone is coming on the job now.
You've been listening to a 3CR podcast produced in the studios of independent community radio station 3CR in Melbourne, Australia. For more information, go to allthews.3cr.org.au.